Hello everyone, you can call me Narrator X. Today, we are going to take a look at the tragic story of a United Kingdom returnee, Mr. Chijioke, and his daughter, Ada, together. But before we move forward, if you've ever had a horrible experience in your life, you can share it with us using the email in the description box. Your story might soon be featured on our growing channel. It was a warm Saturday morning in Enugu, the sun climbing steadily above the red rooftops, casting gold across the streets of Achara layout. The locals had gathered at the Anglican church to celebrate the return of a man who had long been considered a ghost, a successful, quiet man who had once walked these same dusty roads as a boy. His name was Chijioke Naji. After 32 years in the United Kingdom, Chijioke was finally home, not just for a short visit. This time, he had packed everything. His 2-bedroom flat in Peckham was sold. His job at the council office taken over by someone younger. His bags, 3 heavy suitcases and 1 carry-on, were all that remained of the life he had known in the UK. But this return wasn't only about retirement. It was about roots, healing, and a second chance at family. His wife, Ngozi, had died of cancer 8 years ago, and since then, his only anchor was their daughter, Ada Ninaji, a brilliant 25-year-old biomedical engineer who had inherited her mother's grace and her father's stubborn heart. Ada couldn't join him yet. She was on the verge of a promotion, and Chijioke understood. They talked every day over WhatsApp calls. She called every morning before heading to work, and he would call her every night, just before bedtime. She worried a lot, especially after he moved into his late father's compound in Enugu, which was now managed by his younger brother and sister-in-law, Uncle Emeka and Aunt Ijoma. The compound, once vibrant with life, now sat quiet and eerie. "Are you sure you'll be comfortable there, Daddy?" Ada had asked during one of their calls. "Ijoma is very kind," he'd reassured her. "And Emeka? He may not have done much with his life, but he's still my brother." Little did Chijioke know that trust would cost him everything. 3 weeks after he returned, the daily calls stopped. At first, Ada assumed it was a network issue, then maybe a dead battery, then maybe a flu, then silence. She called his number 52 times in 1 week. Nothing. She finally called Aunt Ijoma. "Oh Ada, your father is just resting." "You know these older men don't like phones like that." She chuckled nervously. "He's always sleeping now. Jet lag maybe. But it's been over 3 weeks. He would have called me by now." "Sweetheart, don't worry. Emeka said he's even planning to go to his village house next week. Maybe it's the excitement." But Ada couldn't shake the feeling. She contacted one of her old classmates who now lived in Abuja, asking him to check if Chijioke had visited any of the local hospitals. Nothing. When Ada received an automated email from her father's UK bank saying that a new overseas transfer authorization had been initiated, her heart dropped. 3 days later, Ada landed in Nigeria. The weather slapped her skin with heavy humidity, but she barely noticed. At the airport, Emeka came to pick her up. He looked different, pale, fidgety. His eyes darted around like a man with secrets in his pockets. "I can't wait to see Daddy," she said as they loaded her bags. "Ah yes, you will see him. Soon," he replied. But 2 days passed, and no sign of Chijioke. Every time she asked to see him, there was a reason. He went to the village for prayers. He's not feeling well. He said not to disturb him. So Ada decided to search. And what she found behind a locked storeroom door at the back of the compound was a moment that would haunt her forever. Her father, skinny, bruised, locked in a room with chains around his ankles, gagged. He had been drugged for days. The next hour was chaos. Ada screamed, fought, called the police. Emeka fled. Ijoma collapsed in fake tears. But this was only the beginning. Because what they had done was deeper than kidnapping. Ida sat on the concrete floor beside her father, sobbing as she tried to undo the metal shackles around his legs. Her hands trembled as she reached for the padlock. The room smelled of mildew, blood, and something far more sinister: neglect. Her father's once strong body had wasted away. His eyes were open, but unfocused. "Daddy, it's me. Ada. I'm here now. I'm here. I'll get you out of this. I promise." He couldn't speak. The drugs were still in his system. The police finally arrived. Too late as always. But just in time to see Emeka speeding off in his SUV. Ijoma was taken into custody, but the rot ran deeper. At the police station, Ada gave a statement. She was shaken, but her voice held a fierce steadiness. 2 officers were sent to pursue Emeka. That night, a doctor examined Chijioke at a private hospital in Independence Layout. He'd been sedated with a mix of tranquilizers. The dosage had been increasing daily. His kidneys were showing signs of stress, but he was alive. And in moments of clarity, he whispered what they'd been doing to him. "They forged my signature, took my UK account. Ada, they found the codes, the offshore one." Ada froze. Her father had always been modest, but he had a secret offshore account for emergencies, a 6-figure sum accumulated over decades. They wanted to transfer it. They had papers, power of attorney, forged. He rasped. Ida's eyes narrowed. She got to work. Within 48 hours, she hired a lawyer. She pulled her father's last financial emails. She saw something strange. Multiple login attempts to his UK pension account from a location in Nusuka. A power of attorney had been submitted, bearing a shaky signature and a dodgy witness line, signed by one Pastor Ijoma K. Naji. She traced land documents and saw 2 new properties purchased under her father's name, but he never signed anything. A 3rd property had been sold, and the name on the buyer's deed: Chinenie Grace Naji. Ada blinked. "Who is that?" The lawyer looked up. "It says she's your father's daughter. Same surname. UK birth certificate attached to her BVN registration." "But I'm his only child. My mother died. My father never remarried." The lawyer tapped the table. "Then who is this woman? And how did she get his birth documents, his tax info, and even your mother's marriage certificate?" Ada felt the ground shift beneath her. Meanwhile, Ijoma began to talk. In the holding cell, she broke under pressure. "It was Emeka's idea. He told me Chijioke was hoarding wealth in secret accounts. Said Chijioke abandoned the family. Said we deserved our share. But then that girl, Chinenie, came with documents. Said she was his daughter from a relationship in London, long before he met Ngozi. She said she had proof." Proof! The word echoed in Ada's mind. Was it possible? Did her father have another child? She needed answers, but she needed to find Emeka first. The next night, Emeka was caught at a hotel in Onitsha, trying to cross into Cameroon, using a fake ID. The police brought him in. He was calm. Too calm. "You think I did this alone?" he asked Ada with a smirk. "You don't even know half the story." "What story?" Why did you chain your own brother like an animal? She screamed. You're asking the wrong questions, he replied. Ask your father who Chinenye is. Ask him why he changed his UK will 2 months before coming home. Ask him who gets everything when he dies. Ada's breath caught in her throat. Later that night, back at the hospital, she confronted her father gently. Daddy, who is Chinenye? He looked away. The silence was thick. She's my daughter, he finally said. Before your mother. I was young, foolish. I didn't know she existed until she reached out last year. She sent proof. I wanted to make things right, so I added her to the will. But I never thought. Tears welled in his eyes. They used her. Or maybe she used them. I don't know anymore. Ada stood frozen. A sister? And this sister might have been the one who sold their father's house. The betrayal was spiderwebbed. But she wasn't done yet. The next morning, Ada traced Chinenye. She was in Lagos, and she had just withdrawn 3 million naira from one of Chijioke's Nigerian accounts. Ada got on the next flight, but when she landed and arrived at the address listed on the transaction record, what she found was not a greedy sister, but a terrified woman, shaking, crying. They threatened to kill me if I didn't cooperate. I didn't know they'd hurt him, I swear. It was all Eastern. He said he worked in immigration, that he could erase my debts. Ada's blood ran cold. Eastern? Who was Eastern? Because just when she thought it was family greed, she realized something darker was behind it all. A network. A financial predator. And Emeka, he was just a puppet. Ada stared at the trembling woman in front of her. Chinenye's story poured out in broken pieces, like glass shattering on tile. He found me online, she whispered. He knew everything. My name, my mother's address in London, even my student loan debt. He said he worked for UK immigration, that he could fix my papers and clear my record, but only if I helped him. What did he want? Ada asked, voice tight. Everything. Your dad's information. Bank numbers. I gave him access to things I didn't even know were important. I thought he was with the government, but he was watching me, blackmailing me. I was so stupid. Ada clenched her fists. Eastern wasn't just a name. He was a hunter. Back in Enugu, Chijioke was recovering, but the damage had been done. His trust shattered. His body weak, but his mind sharp as ever. He told Ada about a man he met weeks before his kidnapping. A polished stranger who approached him at a real estate seminar in Abuja, calling himself Charles Easton, claiming to be an investment broker for Diaspora retirees. He knew too much about me, Chijioke said he worked with the Nigerian UK Pension Reintegration Board. I gave him my email. That was all. But the next day, my phone was cloned. My passwords leaked. And then, Emeka and Ijoma changed. Easton had orchestrated the whole plot, and he was still out there. Ada and her lawyer dug deep. They traced multiple transactions tied to Chijioke's accounts. Some of the money was sitting dormant in private companies, but one name kept popping up. Leviton Group Holdings, a phantom firm registered in Mauritius and linked to property scams across West Africa. Ada turned to the EFCC. A special task unit was assigned, and then a breakthrough. A lead from Chinenye's old emails linked Easton to a hotel in Victoria Island. Under the alias Ifeanyi, Charles Ekechukwu. It was time. The sting was silent and precise. On a rainy Thursday afternoon, EFCC operatives stormed the penthouse suite. Inside they found luxury watches, forged documents, untraceable SIM cards, and 3 passports, Nigerian, British, and South African, all bearing Easton's face under different names. He didn't resist. He just smiled. Tell Chijioke I almost had him. But his daughter, she's something else. Emeka, Ijeoma, and Easton, real name Ifeanyi, Charles Ekechukwu, were all charged with conspiracy, financial fraud, kidnapping, and attempted murder. But the shocker came when Easton made a final confession. I wasn't the mastermind. There's a bigger list. Chijioke was just one of them. We target returnees. Old men with pounds in their accounts and no one to protect them. Your father was just unlucky to have relatives dumb enough to play along. He smirked at Ada. But you ruined my business.